All right, and we are back with our second losers bracket round. We have Brad 5 versus AB5. Brad 5 is on to the red side and AB5 is on the blue side. First ban is going to be the Fizz once again, getting rid of that little bit of annoyance in the mid lane.
And then a Jax ban for Brad 5. I can see this with the tremendous top lane pressure that he brings, as well as the split push threat later on.
Jax not having too much success so far in the champion, as a champion in this tournament. I've got to say, he's still a big threat, but weird to see banned out unless it's someone that's avidly played by a member of AB5. Thresh being the next ban, decent one to take away, followed by the Corki. We've removed some fairly common picks so far in the tournament. We're likely going to see either a Lucian ban or first side blue pick. I would not be surprised to see Brad 5 remove Lucian from the chance of it being picked up in the first round.
That is a very good point, because Lucian has been the demise of many, many teams to this point, and we see a Janna ban for blue side.
Decent amount of support on the supports in the bot lane being banned out now. 3 of them, Thresh, Janna, and Morgana. Does leave up Braum, does leave up Leona. Not really sure I'm going to see those 2 being picked up here. Could be a Nami. Haven't seen her so far this tournament. Hovering over the Maokai, so far has had very mixed success in the tournament. Haven't seen it played here by AB5, so we'll see if they can make it work, as it is the first bit of their composition being shown. We have Lucian will be picked up, as well as Kha'Zix. That's a lot of damage, but Kha'Zix, once again, very difficult to get right. We saw it done perfectly earlier today. See whether or not Brad 5 can do it for a second time here in the tournament.
That will be the case, but will this be a Jarvan lock-in for CS3?
CS3 Shingo is hovering it for a while. At this point, when if you do lock in the Jarvan and you have the Maokai, that's a lot of all-in, it's a lot of tank, but the issue is that's not a lot of hard CC. The Maokai and the Jarvan will be in your face and they'll be annoying you, but they don't actually stop you from kind of doing what you want. There's a lot of kite potential when you're looking at these champions. Having the Nami does deny a little bit of that, but again, the all-in from blue team, it seems almost a little bit half-hearted from the champion picks. They're not going to lock you down and keep you there. They're going to go at you and hurt you a little bit. It seems like they need some real heavy hyper carries to round that team out. Meanwhile, on the other side, we do see the Leona picked up. Does allow Lucian to get a lot of his damage off very quickly as well. The Leona passive, usually underrated, is very effective when used by Lucian. Shen also being locked in. Haven't seen him in a while, but if they use it right, could be very powerful.
That it could be indeed. What I do not understand is why pick Leona over Braum, who counters Nami so hard. Nami tries initiating on your team with an ultimate, throw up a Braum Unbreakable, and it's gone.
I couldn't agree more. It seems like Brad 5 really missed that opportunity. They should have probably picked up the Braum. They're going to have to use this Leona to her best of abilities. I mean, you want to say, and normally I would if it wasn't a Lucian, normally say, well, Leona's going to be more aggressive than Braum would be. But for a Lucian, as long as Braum can get the first proc of his passive off, Lucian finishes off that passive so quickly that's a stun anyway. It's of longer duration. It's in many ways more effective when you have the Lucian if you want to be aggressive to pick Braum over Leona, which is usually very unorthodox, but in this scenario would have worked well because they do also need that extra little bit of peel for the Lucian, considering there is a lot of half-hearted walk into your face champions on the side of blue team. Let's take a look how they rounded out that team though.
They picked up the Caitlyn and the Syndra. The Syndra does follow up with that hard engage with the Jarvan ultimate, with the Cataclysm, having her ball being thrown at the enemy, stunning them for a long duration, enough time for Nami to get her ultimate off inside that Jarvan ultimate, making it so easy for blue side to just pick off every key component of that team. Shen's ultimate will do nothing compared to the Caitlyn damage that can happen.
Yeah, Caitlyn does have a lot of potential damage out of the long range. They're going to have to use that comp appropriately. Rounding out on the other side, checks on Brad 5 is going to look for the Ziggs. I don't know if this is the perfect way to end this one up. I mean, you have a decent amount of engage with the Leona, but you need something to follow that through. And Shen tends to have some issues getting that taunt down.
Well, with it costing so much energy and being on such a long cooldown early levels, it's going to be insane if he can land it, because it'll make such a big impact for very, very high risk.
Certainly very high risk indeed. At this point, blue team looks like they've got a decent bit of composition going for them. They need to use their CC as a chain and get everything going pretty well. If they can get them locked down, or any individual locked down for a long duration of time, instead of just spanning it all at once, you've got to span it out. Use this CC, this CC, this CC, and you'll get them locked down long enough where it's going to be dramatically effective. Brad 5 on the other side, they do have a lot of damage from the Lucian, the Kha'Zix, and the Ziggs, but Shen does tend to fall off towards the late game. He's not as effective. His ult isn't as surprising. He's not able to use his taunts effectively because it's not that long. It's no Rammus taunt, but he is very annoying and can do a little bit of damage with that Q. So we'll have to see whether or not Shen will be played like a god, or if he's just going to fall off. Leona, again, will have to land Zenith Blades. Last game we saw the Zenith Blades fall short time and time again. So good luck to everyone on both teams. Is going to be a close game.
That it will be. Looking at the comps, the bot lane is where I'm going to throw a lot of my focus. With that Leona against the Nami, Leona has more chain CC than Nami, but Nami has a lot more sustain in that lane, giving Caitlyn the advantage over top of Lucian. The damage Lucian can deal, Nami cannot heal fully, but can heal a majority, about 3/4 of it, which as well will poke out Lucian or Leona, making it so it's technically a 2v1 lane.
For a while, we were looking in this tournament for the answer to the Tristana to make sure she's always shut down. Lucian ended up being a very serious answer to that, but now you got to figure out what gets rid of Lucian. I think Caitlyn might just be the champion. She works very well at the long range. She's going to be very hard to lock down and catch for Leona. She can easily just use her cargo net to get out of the Zenith Blade range, and she can poke down Lucian well outside of his auto attack range. Lucian would be forced to dash forward to show any kind of aggression onto Caitlyn, which will open him up to bubbles from Nami.
That it will. Nami is one of my favorite supports to play at this time because she is just so, I guess, OP at this point compared to a lot of other supports, because the way that she sustains lane, gives you extra AD, as well as just keeps them locked down and zoned, is just intense.
Yeah, she definitely has the ability to zone out. I'm going to be looking for the bot laners of blue team to be able to use that range, not just to passively farm, because you're going to need more than that to really shut down a Lucian. They're going to have to use that range to be aggressive, land those bubbles, get those peacemakers out and hitting both targets, keep Leona on a leash while you bring down the Lucian, and that would allow the slightly more reliable solo laners on blue side to be dominant in this game, and that would be all they need to really pull ahead here.
Well, speaking of solo laners, if we look, Syndra versus Ziggs. We haven't seen this matchup today, but we've seen both champions played quite a little bit. Ziggs has the wave clear that Syndra as well has, but uses it at a much better advantage to also poke out. Syndra has such a burst potential. Ziggs did bring barrier in this fight, but will it be enough, unlike the first game, to protect Ziggs from a Syndra ultimate as well as an ignite?
Syndra definitely very aggressive here. Ziggs is going to probably look to just passively farm this one out. He's kind of, with that summoner spell choice, made the subconscious decision to just let Syndra have the control. She's likely not going to roam that much simply because she doesn't have that much movement speed. It's going to be hard for her to get any kind of CC down on the side lane, so she's going to end up staying in the mid lane, farming it up, and if Ziggs is the same, he can still be very effective in the late game. He's got to just avoid Syndra and allow the other laners to do the work for him. He does have the Kha'Zix to back him up. That's a lot of damage, but it's going to be hard to CC hard enough for Syndra to get killed out by the Kha'Zix. We saw last time that we saw the Kha'Zix, he always ganked the Shyvana lane because there was enough CC there in order to get the damage down that he has in his kit, whereas Ziggs is not going to be able to get that much CC.
That is a very good point. Outside the satchel charge, Ziggs does not have very much laning CC. With that being said, Ziggs is a very, very well-rounded mid laner for the fact that he has wave clear like a Xerath, but also has the poke like a Xerath. So the one matchup that most people do not want to face is against a Ziggs or a Xerath mid, because they know that they will get poked out much greater than they can give back.
That is true, and on the bot lane, once again, we do have Leona versus Nami, a very odd matchup. Leona can always get bubbled if she ends up walking into it after the Zenith Blade. So if Nami just focuses on where the Zenith Blade is going and bubbling there, she'll hit Leona, but she does then allow the Zenith Blade to land, whether it be on herself or on the Caitlyn, which is some CC, and it could be enough for Lucian to fall up, and with the bubble down afterwards, could easily be counterplayed by Lucian's sheer amount of early to mid-game damage. Because of that, I would be surprised if there was not a lot of poke that came out of the bot lane from both sides before either team went in. They're going to want to get damage down fairly aggressively, then go full bore. They don't want to just go for the big 2v2 fight in between minions. Neither of them will have the definitive advantage in that scenario.
Well, if we look at the bot lane, Nami gives a lot more advantage to Caitlyn with her extra AD ratio. Leona brings more CC, but then Nami also has that much, as well as AD ratios, which will help, especially for the Caitlyn ulti, to take out a high priority target like Lucian if he happens to be dashing away from the fight. And also the extra AD will help for the laning phase to help clear out creeps a lot quicker, as well as harass Lucian to the point where he starts to wonder why he chose Lucian.
So I'm going to be watching the top lane because Shen is very weird in how he is played. There's two types of Shen players. One will easily just farm underneath the turret, try and get some decent farm, be a little bit behind and look for the ultimate towards the lower lanes, get some kills and get some feed that way. And there's the insanely aggressive Shens. They'll use their taunt all the time, they'll use their Q all the time. They just constantly want to poke you, never have any focus, and just do damage and poke you out of the lane, which is hard to do on what is normally considered to be not a very high damage champion. But in the early game, in this lane, he actually can poke out the Maokai. It looks like he wants to do it already. He's very aggressive, not really focusing on the farm, just wants to hurt Maokai.
The thing about playing against the Maokai top is if you deny him farm early and deny him kills, keep him behind as far as you can. He cannot scale in to get his Rod of Ages early enough to put you even further behind. So with Maokai, you got to get aggressive early, get an early gank, and try getting that first blood, keep that gold, and then use it for your Rod of Ages. Without that, especially against a Shen who can easily just build even more health and do a lot more damage with the Spirit's Massage or a Banshee's Veil, countering that Maokai damage will be a hard thing to counteract.
It is true, and here they do have Shen being pushed in. Despite his aggression, he will have very slow wave clear, so he's going to end up under that tower inevitably. Whether or not he can keep up with Maokai while doing so is the big question. It looks like so far he's been quite successful in that manner. Meanwhile, in the jungle, the junglers are at the stage where they can easily gank any lane, but Kha'Zix will walk through a wall.
As we see here, the red side bot lane is getting harassed under turret just by the sheer range of Caitlyn's auto attacks, doing so much damage with that passive crit. It is a wonder why Leona is not trying to just keep them zoned out instead.
A lot of his mentality, if Leona was in the more forward push doing this, then they could easily turn this one around. The exhaust will go down to Caitlyn as well as Lucian. Lucian now actually focusing the mains for a moment with that double proc as Leona will manage to get her stun off on Nami for only a moment. Overall, the trade is going to go in favor of the blue team because of the sustain from Nami, but this is the difference. When you're the red team in this instance, you have to just be trigger happy. As soon as J4 leaves and he's out of the area, you go in again. You get a few more minions, then you go in again. Because at the end of the day, you cannot give elongated times for Nami to use her mana to heal up Caitlyn, because then you're sitting there with no health, Caitlyn's got a full bar, and you can't re-engage, and that's what's happening right now.
That is exactly right. As we see in the bot lane, Caitlyn does outrange Lucian. We can see that his health bar is flashing, meaning that Caitlyn is getting such an advantage in this lane early. She may have used her flash, but still, through that instance, it was such a good trade in favor of red side at first, but then once Nami started healing up Caitlyn, the entire trade flipped a 180, went in blue side's favor, and just made it such an easy bot lane for the blue side.
Orange Beast on the Maokai is showing a good amount of aggression. Shen not able to get the kind of farm they want here. And this is the difference. Shen, at this point, should be a lot more pushed out. He needs to be quickly hitting these minions, but he's letting the tower do it for him, and he's losing CS because of it. Now J4 is going to walk into the bush where Kozak stands, but Kozak's not really looking for this 2v2, and he's going to miss his jump and quickly have to flash over the wall. He's going to go down to J4. This will be the first blood as Groot is running away. J4 does get first blood, and that was all to Kozak's mistake. Missing that jump is huge.
That was such a mistimed jump. If he would have
Lucian wants to go in. He actually flashes over the bubble. He's trying to follow up onto Vincent Bot, who does have to eat from Nami, but goes away before he can turn around. So close.
Top lane though, Shen does have a bit of an advantage using energy, which has such a quicker regen than mana itself. So Maokai using all of his abilities to try and stay in this lane, stay very aggressive, giving Shen so much time just to regen that energy and keep poking him out with those Qs, blocking damage with his W, just making it such a harder lane for Maokai. This top lane can go either way, but I'm giving this to Shen so far for just the sheer fact that he can use so many more abilities than Maokai can handle.
I will agree with you to a point, but Maokai's playing it off so well. He's got a huge CS lead. He's just sustained in the lane. He's backing comfortably. He's already got decent builds going. He backed when he wanted to, and he walked to lane. He didn't TP. Shen now will have a contest if he decides to use his ultimate down on bot side or mid to save somebody. I was surprised to see Kozak go for that risky aggression before Shen had 6, considering the fact that he should know in that mid lane, you're not going to have much CC to help you out, so you're going to be looking to legitimately 2v1 Syndra, who has that strong stun, and you could get caught out and burst down very quickly. So for him to go in the mid lane without Shen as a possible backup was a big risk, and they paid for it with this blood and the first blood.
That is very true. Giving that first blood to Jarvan, getting him closer to that level 6 over Kozak is such a huge thing at this point, because getting that Cataclysm in the mid lane, making it so Syndra can barely miss a stun, will make it so much easier for her to hit the stun, then her ultimate, and just annihilate Ziggs before he has a chance to even satchel charge.
Maokai is trying to constantly poke out Shen, and he's doing a very good job of it. Shen is afraid of the engage, which is very weird to see. You're underneath the turret. He's not much he can poke you with, so you're just kind of backing away from the fight he can't engage in the first place, and you're losing CS for it. Maokai now has a dominating mid lane. Here is going to be a little bit of a fight, but J4 cannot find his all the way in.
Well, that was a very well-placed satchel charge by Ziggs to keep everything out and to get himself safely away, knowing through a ward in the river, seeing that J4 was coming down, or coming up I should say, to the mid lane. Keeping himself safe from that. If he would have died there once again, he'd be so far behind Syndra, there would be no way he would return from that. He would be too far back in gold and in kills that he wouldn't be able to come.
Shen once again underneath the tower. This is quickly just becoming a farm fest, but who's coming out on top of it? The obvious answer is the blue team. We're not seeing the super fed Lucian that we saw last game. He's being very passive and staying underneath the turret. He's not able to aggress, and that is the power of Caitlyn. She's doing exactly what we said beforehand. She's not just using her long range to farm and get an even lane. She's using it to abuse Lucian, who's now going in on nothing. Here, Brad 5 is going to get the first gank from their Kozaks, but he gets stunned up very quickly. Great play there by Syndra. She burned the flash to do it, though, so she'll have to watch out.
The one thing I do not know why is why Syndra would not have ulted Kozaks there to get that kill, to get even more ahead. Because Kozaks was so low, the ultimate does so much.
There goes the ultimate from J4 after the Relentless Flash been burned from the bubble. Tsunami will land on the Lucian as well, but he's easily going to walk away to the turret. That is another kill over to the blue side. Caitlyn now will have complete control of this lane, and likely the turret, because there's nothing Lucian can do. She's good though. Might pay for with his life as the ultimate goes down onto Ziggs. He's flashing over the wall, so Syndra will not be picking up that kill. There is no turret going over to blue team, so it has been fairly even. But I've got to say, there needs to be a play by Brad 5 very quickly. They're quickly going to lose this game at this rate. They're down 3K.
Well, that gold difference could be very effective in this game. But if you think about it, the comps are what will make the huge difference in this. Looking at the red side comp, they are down 2 kills, down 2,500 gold. If we look at it properly, the CC in team fights will make it so easy for Kha'Zix to ult and jump on the back line, take out the Caitlyn in such easy time, and then Ziggs to follow up with a major AoE if they happen to barely get away with his ultimate, and then Shen just to save anybody who needs it.
They've got to start using that composition because right now it looks like it is all Kha'Zix's game. He needs to find a way to get one of these ganks to work, and he's going to try again here in the top lane. He's going to get rooted out by the Maokai, who seems like he's willing to fight this one 2v1. He's getting taunted over by Shen now, trying to back out of this one, but it's going to go over to Kha'Zix at this rate. He flashes, flash followed up there by the Kha'Zix, and he will give that one over to Shen. One return kill for the purple side.
I won't deny it. That was a very well-timed gank by Kha'Zix in the top side, but Maokai played that just slightly less well than he should have. If he would have been able to time his passive a little bit better, he would have been able to save himself from the death, from the healing.
We're going to hit a bubble, and there is the Nakami wave right afterwards. This is going to be blue team's Dragon. Oh no, but J4 goes down. Dragon will go over to Syndra still, though, as now here comes Kha'Zix to follow this one up. This is quickly going in red team's direction. The push away does not have a stun connected to it, so she is going to go down, likely to the Ziggs, which chances to pick up the Kha'Zix. No, Kha'Zix will change that into his kill instead, thanks to the Shen for giving that shield, even if it was a little bit late. That will be a team fight for the red side, but Dragon still secured just barely by Syndra.
Well, that Dragon Steel could do a lot for her team, giving everyone that global gold, making it so they can finish off their key item that they need, or even just getting another component towards the one that they majorly will need for that team fight. It could mean so much for so little.
At this point, the red side needs to make use of this little bit of feed they've managed to find in that last fight. Lucian has been behind all game, but he might finally have an opportunity to go back, buy that BF sword, and become a huge threat here in the bot lane as the turret goes down in favor of the blue team. That is just what happens when you leave it open for that long. Shen is just not in this one. He's nearly getting doubled his CS over to Maokai. He just can't find his way into the lane. Here comes Kha'Zix once again, looking to turn this lane around. He already was successful the first time, and now Maokai is very far extended. His ult is still running, but he's running low on CC. He's going to have to just try and walk this one out. There's the taunt coming up, but here's Syndra. She's going to land the two-man stun. There's the ultimate. There's the EU. There's the Q, and there's a kill for Syndra and a kill for Maokai. Great play. He knew he had one person to back him up, and to use him properly.
That just shows the belief and trust between the top and mid laner right there. Maokai believing, if I just run down to this tri-bush with my ulti active, by the time it runs out, Syndra will be here with a QE ready and proc. I will live, and we will get a kill each. That is trust and belief that you cannot find in most teams.
You're absolutely right. And so far, 2 turrets already going over to the blue side, as well as the enemy team's blue buff, thanks to the Syndra, though.
It's almost as bad as
Leona is in a really bad position here. She's looking to engage on the 3, but she has no backup, just goes down. There was a communication error, as here goes J4 looking to fall that one thoroughly, gets a ult onto Groot. Out of his ult onto Groot, but it's not going to be enough to kill him. Kha'Zix wants to follow this one up, but he just cannot land the spikes. More and more advantages are going over to the blue team. They're trying to hold it off, but really, red team had won one team fight, but it was very disjointed. They need to find a way to get these proper groupings in and working in their favor. Shen's got to find a way to engage where Maokai's not just going to completely counter him out, because Maokai is just that far ahead.
With Maokai being ahead compared to the Shen, it's going to be a very interesting game for which tank can do the most in a team fight. At this point, it's all about Maokai. His Vengeful Maelstrom taking up so much damage from everybody, and then still having TP if he has to go back top, which he is right now top. He can TP down for a dragon, and then with that dragon fight, they can get an easy ace, take out that mid turret, possibly get a major amount of damage on that second tier, and then just continuously harass every team.
And it's all because you really lost so dramatically one of the lanes. Shannon is just not in this game anywhere near where Maokai is. Whereas Ziggs is sustained against Syndra. Here comes the mid lane fight. Maokai going to go in, follow up by the stun to land on the 2, but Ziggs is going to get out of that one. The Shen ultimate landing. There is no hit by the solar flare, but Maokai is locked up very quickly. Here comes J4 looking to turn this one around. Maybe Inferno Bomb will find the first kill onto Maokai, as now flash away, but Syndra will leave Leona dead in the background. A 1-for-1 trade.
That was actually a very good fight for Brad 5 because it was a support for a top laner. That may have gotten rid of a little bit of Brad 5's CC, but they still have so much engage with the Ziggs, with the Shen, with the Lucian, and then Kha'Zix is just there to assassinate. It's going to be a very close game in this one. We're not even 16 minutes in, but everything is still pretty close.
A 5k gold lead is still a 5k gold lead, and we're nearing that for the blue team. Calvin bot looking like he's trying to round out his first little bit of items, but if you compare that to the build of Leona, it's still so much more forward. Leona's not going to be very effective for a while, whereas Nami is right on the cusp of really finishing off some items, having those great counter CC items, and just being there for her team so much more consistently.
I will give you that one, but the 80 carries right now, it's all about Caitlyn out-harassing Lucian. And with Lucian having a little bit shorter of a range than Caitlyn, makes it so much easier for them to win a fight just based off Caitlyn auto-attacking Lucian out of the gate, making it so that way even the smallest amount of shield will never save him.
Well, even though it is very half CC when you have the Jarvan and you have the Maokai go in, they're not really locking people down for a really long duration, but they are keeping them at arm's length, and that's all that Caitlyn could ever ask for. She's getting all of her auto attacks out. She's doing a lot of damage at a very long range along with Syndra. It's working out in blue team's favor. There needs to be a way for Brad 5 to try and counteract that one. The red team needs to get Leona in onto that back line, stun them up, be followed up by Kha'Zix, hopefully get one of those 2 carries. Then if they can destroy that frontline tank with the Lucian and the Ziggs, they're going to be able to win a team fight, but they've got to do that very quickly and before Maokai can get too much damage down, so that the remaining carry in the back line doesn't just clean up for blue team.
That is a very good point. Leona will be the main factor in red side's team fight. Getting that heavy engage with her ultimate and then the Zenith Blade onto the 80 carry will be a huge decider, because if they can lock down Caitlyn, they take out almost every ounce of damage that blue side has.
Shen is still getting pushed in. He needs to do something. We could use a little bit of help, gain some clear cutting on the Maokai in the top lane, but there's just nothing that they can do. So many members of the red team are just scattered around this area trying to gain some kind of ward control. The blue team is just too powerful. They've got a decent little composition between the 4 of them, with J4 going in, followed up by Nami's CC, and then the 2 carries in the back of the range. They can very well play these 4v4s, but it's not going to stop Brad 5 from taking out that turret. Here comes the engage now. Maokai's on the backside, and Leona's in a very bad position. She will go down first, followed up probably very quickly by Groot. And that will be the next one. Here goes J4. He's looking to find Lucian, but he's got to just do it quickly. And the Shen ult will turn this one around, but Shen is right there. He could have just joined the fight in a natural way and been a little bit more effective following up with the shield later on. Kha'Zix trying to re-engage, but he's not going to get any reactivation. It is looking like it's going to be a perfect ace, and there it is. 5-0. Red team just did not group on anything. They played a disjointed fight when they need to do in order to win with their composition is create a disjointed fight for the enemy team.
Now I need you to tell me, how did Shigeo live through that one? He was focused out so early, lived with barely any health, and then healed up right at the end.
He managed to live through that one because Maokai ended up being the main source of engage very quickly. For a while there, it was going to be all about J4 just going down with being the initial engage, but Maokai TPing in and then becoming the new center of attention drew away the already CC'd J4 from the crosshairs of the enemy team, and then he just moved around, got a decent little bit of kite on Lucian so the rest of his team could come in and finish that one out.
Well, that was just really well played by Shigeo for staying alive through that fight to make it a 5-0 trade. They may lose the dragon here, but they will still get a timer on it from that ward.
The ward's not being sweeped out, a little bit weird. There is a red team dragon, I believe that is now 1-for-1. We have a decent gold lead still in favor of the blue team. Ziggs needs to get that blue buff, start clearing out waves, and if you're looking for a champion to help carry this gold lead over so they can survive to get to a later game, Ziggs is going to be the one to do that, and it looks like that's what they're relying on. Right now, though, Ziggs does not have very much AP. He is sitting on just mana-generating items. He's got to finish off and do a little bit of damage. Get that death cap out so you can clear out those waves insanely quickly as well as poke. You got to be able to do both of the Ziggs if you're going to be effective in properly defending against sieges. Meanwhile, Kha'Zix is definitely someone you got to be watching. He's already got the Elder, but with Moby Boots and the Chain Vest, he's not very tanky and he doesn't do that much damage. And seeing at 132, he's not very fed at all. He's a bit behind a J4, and he's really not able to get into these fights. We saw it last fight. He went in last second, already at low health from earlier on, and didn't manage to get anything but a Cinder Stun to the back of the head.
And if we look down bot side, we can see that there happens to be a 3-on-3 fight happening right here.
This is a decent rotation for the blue team. They need to start aggressing as many of the inner towers as possible. They do already have the mid one, so they're going to do both. They're going to do a basic, probably 1-4 split. Here comes a fourth member. And this is their plan from the beginning. They saw that Maokai was going to get fed and that Shen was going to be able to deal with it. So they said, okay, we'll have Maokai split push. We'll group as 4. We have a decent 4-man team fight. And we'll play it out from there. Shen, even if he does ult down, he's not going to be able to do much before Maokai just starts gaining objectives.
And as we see top lane, Maokai just harassing Shen with both his Q and E, which will eventually whittle Shen down to the point where he either ults down to the bottom side to help out there with his ultimate, or he can just back, try stopping Maokai again, but then eventually just start getting chunked out even more.
Blue team wants to find an engage, but they're not able to get it anywhere. They're throwing abilities and small ranged engages all over the place, but they're just not finding any way in. Maokai is slowly working down that turret, so they can delay this long, but Ziggs is doing his job. He's got that blue buff. He's got at least a Void Staff, so he's doing some AP damage. So he's able to hold this one out, but the problem is that Shen can't. So as long as Maokai does inevitably get that turret, blue team still wins this siege.
Well, as we look topside, Shen is getting chased out by the Maokai.
And Maokai needs to leave Shen alone. He's backing, whatever. Just go over, wait for that minion group. Stop the back, that was smart. Now you got your mains, take that turret. And you saw the second he gained complete control over the top lane, his team backed off. That's strong communication and rotation. The second he knows he's going to get one of the inner turrets, which was their goal, they just backed off. Now they're likely going to send Maokai into the bot lane and essentially do the same with the bot lane inner turret. You have the rest of the team pressure one of the inhibitor turrets, let Maokai get a free turret, get more global gold, keep the rotations on the dragon, keep wards on the Baron, and they're going to easily siege this one up very methodically with simple rotations.
Well, just the way that blue side is playing this entire match out so far, keeping constant vision.
Maokai wants in, and he will find Leona very quickly. She's going to go down with no way out, and that'll be an easy pickup and catch for the blue team.
That was just a bad rotation by Leona. She got caught out way too easily, going in to clear out some wards in their side of the jungle.
J4 wants in. Oh, the lucky dash illusion will keep him out of the J4 ultimate. He does end up taking Caitlyn out very close to the back of his head. J4 is low, so they're likely not going to be able to turret dive this one. Shen looking to push out the top lane wave, but again, Maokai, when he goes to split push, is likely going to want to try for the bot lane because it's going to be a more free turret. And global gold is always the goal.
Well, with the way this comp is going, I can imagine a fairly soon Baron buff. Knowing that blue side has Maokai to tank all that damage, not only to keep him up there in health and sustain, and then just all that damage from Jarvan, from Caitlyn, and from Syndra, they can go for an easy Baron buff, and I believe that they will do it.
So both red team and blue team have the accurate timer of Dragon. It's going to be the next big fight. Maokai did return to the top lane. That's because he has the TP and he just wants the CS for free until the Dragon fight does occur. They're going to be able to just clear out this wave in the mid lane. But again, red team did a great job of defending, but now they're on the offensive, it's going to be a lot more difficult. The teleport is coming from Maokai. They did manage to lock up Shen for the most part. He's very low, has to back away. Maokai is down there. They're likely going to go to rotate for Dragon in a minute after they push up the mid lane. Kha'Zix here is wanting to clear the wave, but they need Ziggs to be the one to do it, and there is no blue buff on him, and he just doesn't have that much mana regeneration. Weird rotation by blue. They could be going for the Baron buff.
It looks like they are.
That pink ward.
Which one? There's two.
Good question. maybe one people there I can see it straight. Now they're starting out the Baron. There's a lot of contest options here for the red team. They've got to jump in and just do it though. And it looks like it's so half-hearted. They want to do it, but they don't want to do it. The Cullen comes in. He'll stop them out from that one. Todd on the other side is going to get locked up. And now he's in the Baron range. As Leona's way too far forward and alone, the Nami Wave will find 3 of them. As here goes Leona. She'll go down. Rod just going down. This is the kind of fight that they've always wanted. A lot of damage going on to Shen. He's not going to be able to get out of this one. He does manage to help get the Maokai first. A lot of damage now going to be going out from the Caitlyn ultimate, but it will not find Lucian. Only going to go on the Ziggs. Looking for a follow-up. He does get the Q and slide. Oh, he's going to get that Lucian. Lucian, please. They get the shut down as Caitlyn going to throw forward, and she will get the crit on the auto attack to finish off Lucian. There's an ace for the blue team.
That was just a very, very well executed Baron buff fight by the blue team, making it so they can easily rotate down for that dragon after that, making it so it was such a worth fight, getting so much gold and kills onto the needed members of the team. Caitlyn and Syndra just doing so much work this fight. It's insane. The Nami ult in that fight was also a very big factor.
Yeah, Nami ultimate was greatly thrown out there, and blue team made the right decision. They aggressively went for the Baron, and they knew it was easily contestable, so they just backed off. They didn't want to go full Dignitas. They didn't want to have any kind of issues there, so they just backed off, let the red team over-aggress themselves, thinking that all the blue team would be low. It's not the new Baron. He doesn't do damage to everybody. He's just going to do damage to the very tanky Maokai. Now Ziggs finally going to get another blue buff, so it's going to be hard for the blue team to siege out their base.
Well, as we see, Jarvan is going to sweep out some wards, trying to get deeper vision down, knowing where his lane is that he can go through to get easy ganks off in the middle in order to start setting up team fights so well.
There is a decent amount of vision control for the blue team over by the Baron area. They've already secured Dragon, so they're not too worried about that. Though aggressive wards have so far not been their forte. They're just not controlling the jungle of red side. They absolutely have the opportunity to do so, but they're not making that kind of an investment. They just want to get the side objectives under their control, and they're not too worried about the jungle itself, which is a little bit odd when you think about how many things they could get if they did that properly. A lot of damage from the Peacemaker is going to go on to Lucian. Here comes J4. Could be an engage. Nope.
Target marked.
If J4 were to ult in a fight, he'd have to wait for the Ziggs satchel, the Kha'Zix jump, or the Lucian dash to be done. Nobody should be focusing Shen at this point in the game. He's just too tanky for anybody to take down solo. We're going to need all of them together in order to do any sort of damage to him. Maokai can do slight damage, but not enough to take him out 1v1.
The defensive rotation from red team is a little bit late here, so they will lose that turret. Shen not able to defend anything against Maokai. Here comes the Tsunami. He's going to find 2. They engaged by J4. Will only find 1. The lock up, a lot of damage from the Ziggs balls coming out on the side. No kills so far, but the first one will go down on the Shen after the Syndra ulti. Finished off by Maokai, and red team will have to back away. They do still have the Ziggs. He's got the blue buff, so it's unlikely they're going to quickly lose anything revealing an inhibitor turret if they rotate the mid eventually. There he goes. Got that one. Alright, they finally looking like they're going to defend both sides of their base. They've just got to keep this up for a little while longer, and hopefully Lucian will find the right position in a team fight to really gain the advantage. But at this point, absolutely, with over 10k gold lead, blue team looks like they will take it.
If there's just one fight that can decide it all, it'll be a fight at the Baron buff. Whatever team can grab that will get such a major advantage.
Yeah, the Baron buff could be red team's way back in. The issue is, if at any point in time these inhibitor turrets fall on red team, they basically have no play. They can't hold off just Nexus turrets with Ziggs. It's pointless. You're going to end up losing so many things. You're going to have minions poking at you from such a duration that you can't kill it out with Ziggs. He can do a lot of wave clear, but he can't wave clear 10 super minions in his face.
That is very true. Ziggs does have very good damage with his passive, but not enough in order to take out an entire wave with double super minions.
And that Superman is exactly how blue team is going to win this one. They're doing a very slow siege. It seems a little bit half-hearted, but it is exactly what they're looking to do. They just want to be very slow, very methodical, and they're doing a decent job of that. J4 looking for another engage. He's a little bit behind. He will manage to get the Cataclysm on a 3. Lucian quickly dashing out of that one. So does the leap from Kha'Zix. The bubble will land on Leona. She does get the solar flare out, but it's not going to matter. She quickly goes down. Lucian dashing away from the flag and drag. That will still be the end of it. Only one kill, but that is enough to possibly pop the gates. They need to start either sieging or getting the Baron buff. The Baron buff is pinged and quickly followed by red side. A little bit of a risky play. They could get jumped in the jungle, and it doesn't look like that's what is being set up by blue team. The Maokai bait's a little bit obvious. He will go in onto the Kha'Zix, do a lot of damage here on the other side. There is 2 being caught. Ziggs goes down, and Shen will likely go down right afterwards. Maokai continuing his 1v1, or 2v1 actually, of Lucian and Kha'Zix. Lucian forced in the wrong direction. He will have to back. There is no Ziggs. This is the time to siege directly onto the inhibitor turrets, and they will do so in the top lane.
The way that blue team is rotating so flawlessly and fluent makes it hard for red team, even with that Ziggs wave clear and with the Lucian wave clear, to just defend any turrets. The damage coming in of Jarvan and Caitlyn is so strong on the turrets, as well as the AD ratio from
Shenton on the 2 will actually bring Maokai underneath the turret, which is now gone. High Tide going out, and they will find 3 onto the corner. Maokai continues to try and lock them down. He's got no backup coming anytime soon. The ultimate's going to find Leona, as they are right next to their fountain, trying to back away and heal off, as the inhibitor on top side will go down over to the blue team. They're looking to make the rotation as the minions start knocking on the mid lane's doors, and this could be the second inhibitor turret. If they get this one down, there will be enough minions that they can confidently siege at any time, but Ziggs is there doing a lot of damage with that Mega Inferno Bomb. Flag and Drag is going to be defensive this time as Tsunami Bubble will find onto Leona and onto Shen. Leona goes down. So does Kha'Zix, with Caitlyn using that long range to her advantage. And that will be the end of the siege. They can back off, spend that money, use those minions, and get that Baron buff, and it's clearly going to be a GG.
Well, you never know. This game could easily pull a 180. We just need to wait to see if red side can easily just keep going. Don't give up. Just stay in this and keep playing it out until you get that late game power spike.
Oh, Lucian. He just managed to finish off the kill. I was not expecting to get anything from that engagement. 1 for 1, though, not bad at this point. Sitting at 3-3 with actually more CS than Kate has. And with that double crit item, he could still do a lot of surprising damage, as demonstrated from that kill.
I'm just waiting to see the very last team fight that will decide this all. See how well it's played. See who gets that major advantage and who plays it the best.
You would normally assume that's going to be somewhere around the Baron buff, but really, do blue team need the Baron buff? Unless they're sieging head-on against Ziggs with no inhibitors down, which at this point is not the case, they don't really need it, so they haven't gone for it since that almost early rush a long time ago. Right now, J4 will look to take out the Dragon. He's got that. He uses Smite, though. Only a 40-second cooldown. So it's unlikely that they're going to be taking Dragon anytime immediately. Yet that is exactly what red team expects them to do. See Syndra clearing the ward. Let's see what play they're going to make.
All blue side has to do at this point is just let the super minions push, wait until they're on the Nexus turrets, and then go in there and take them.
This is a lot of patience coming out of red side. They really want to find some kind of an engage. They did not walk through any wards. The ward investment's completely fallen off in the blue team. Lucian's going to be seen by minions, and that will be the end of it. They're not pushing up that mid lane, so they're not going to get caught out. Here comes Maokai, though, from the side, throws over a sapling. Right now, Kha'Zix is sitting at level 13, the same level as Nami, so he is definitely very far behind, sitting at 1, 5, and 3. He's not really in this game as predominantly as you would want him to. He's only got one finished defensive item, his offensive jungle item, and Moby boost. Just not much gold being piled into the jungler at all.
Well, with these comps, if they were looking to make it so that way they could easily win fights, defensive for blue side is not what they need. They need more offensive engage and easily able to lock down a few people with that Jarvan and Nami ultimate. It's so easy for them just to take all these objectives without it. There they get the Baron, which will eventually help them siege through.
I'd say they're going to do it immediately. They've got full health bars. They've got inhibitors still down. They're going to siege up this mid lane, and they need to just go for it. If they let Ziggs constantly open, despite the Baron buff, it will be all that it takes for the red team to hold this one out. Is just push up the mid lane, go towards the turret, see the Ziggs dive, the Ziggs kill, the Ziggs win the game.
Well, all blue side needs to be focusing on right now is just taking out that Ziggs so they can just siege through without that happening.
Ziggs will get halted on so they can keep the vision of him. A lot of aggression onto the inhibitor turret. Lucian trying to do some damage from the side. There's a lot of CC and a lot of damage. They're going to have to back off for now. The minion waves are not able to stay alive. Ziggs still has a lot of mana, so it will be drawn out a little bit longer. The inhibitor respawn on top lane will help them, but it's going to draw them towards the top side. They want to quickly take down this turret. Ziggs is there doing a ton of damage. Here's the Leon ultimate. Will find 3 as she goes to engage on the Syndra, but she gets knocked away from the Syndra stun, and blue team is completely disengaged the fight with red team sitting at some fairly low health bars. They're going to want to back away to their fountain, then re-engage the defense of their own base.
The way that fight was played out with Syndra just consistently landing her stuns was very good at poking out Leona, making her use her ultimate.
Once again, they are going back into the mid lane. They'll find the turret, looking for that inhibitor. Then they'll likely make that rotation on the top, finish that one out. 2 inhibitors down will easily spell the end of red side. They can't find their way in because there is just no opening. The long-range carries of blue team are so far away from any kind of danger. I would not be surprised to see the red team try to go in the end of Leona respawns with her ultimate, but she is just going to have to run away from this one. A lot of flashes are being burned. The red team is completely on the back foot. Leona's ultimate does finally go up, but it's only going to find 2 and not really matter as Maokai's already down. The Shen ultimate was used onto Lucian, and they are going to have to just try and chase him out of the base with 2 inhibitors down. The slow siege will continue, and Ziggs cannot do much more as he does get bubbled up. And there is the kill. Oh my goodness, there's your wave clear gone. Lucian trying to do some return damage onto J4, but he's just too tanky. The 4v4 will happen fairly soon. I do not doubt J4 could dive this turret. Huge crit by Kate.
The damage coming out of Caitlyn here in this late game is just so intense that nobody can even.
Oh, there's a stun by Shyvana. She's going to want to try and follow that one through. So they flash away as Lucian goes very aggressive. Here comes Shen. He wants to try and zone somebody out, but he just can't do it as the first Nexus turret does fall. The Cinder Stone once again landing on the money, hitting up Kha'Zix. More and more super minions are barreling down the center here.
Dust. Target marked.
Ult coming up from Caitlyn. He's going to actually find Kha'Zix, but not the kill. The TP comes out from Maokai, and it is a 4v5 underneath their Nexus with no turrets. There goes Lucian. Here goes Kha'Zix. Bad positioning there by Shen as Kha'Zix goes down, and next goes the Nexus. GG for the blue team, and that will be the end of red side's Grad 5. Whew.
They had a very good run. They played aggressive and played strong.
Definitely the rotations from blue team was very strong there, and it allowed them to quickly close out this game. We will be looking to go back over to the winner's side of the bracket, heading towards the quarterfinal matches on that side. We will see you in just a moment.